West.
Welcome to the Friendlyjordies podcast. This is an exclusive episode since the Missgate.
Yeah, look, I was going to walk, and then I was like, you know what? You know, working as a car cleaner in one of those like arse end of a BWS probably isn't as good as working for one of the biggest pods in the world.
One of the biggest.
I mean, in the country.
Well, yeah, that actually is true.
Let's be honest. That's all I could do now. If I got booted from this, if I was like,
you get one of those jobs that only sex offenders can get.
Yeah, sex offender job.
Fun fact. This is
it's
true.
really true. Like I got to say for a second, thanks so much, guys. After you've been cancelled, this is the only way to create revenue. It was like what Slavoj Žižek was saying, where they were going, "You're like one of the most popular intellectuals of your generation." And he was saying, yeah, but not amongst academics, you know. If I didn't have YouTube, then I'd be homeless. And
Jesus.
he already looks homeless anyway. He's halfway there.
Yeah.
I looked up a list of 50 most prominent philosophers, so not even intellectuals, a specific field of philosophers. Slavoj Žižek was number 50. And the funny thing is the top 49, besides like Chomsky, you don't even know who they are.
Doesn't that mean they're probably legit?
No,
They are.
I don't think it is.
To be fair, I knew at least 4 or 5 of them, but I know I'm the only one who knows them.
I tell you what, I'm starting to realize that all institutions suffer from whatever the group think is of the day. And I'm putting it all together. It's not just the press. It is academia. It is the arts. It's always been like that if you are an artist that bucks the trend, or if you're an academic that bucks the trend, you're going to be Slavoj Žižek, but the difference was YouTube did not exist in Da Vinci's day. Well, Da Vinci's not a good example because he was actually loved by the elites. But you know what I'm saying, right?
Also, let's not jump the gun. You never know. It might have been around then. We weren't there.
But
he's an old man.
But you know, like you've heard Chomsky's take on this, right? If you think about it, a lot of these people who we think are great now weren't really considered to be great when they were living and doing their work.
Right.
Chomsky has this thing, well, there was always people there. Back in the day, there were intellectuals that advocated for the state, and then there were intellectuals that were against the state. We had different names for them. The ones that were against the state, we now call them false prophets, and the ones that were with the state, we call them false prophets, and the ones that were against, they're known as prophets now. So basically the point is, yes, while you're alive, life is shit, everyone shuns you, but 200 years later, people recognize that you were the one that was actually smart, because now history has basically come to a point where their predictions have come true.
Is that what they're saying of
This is
today?
getting way too Joe Rogan-y, but don't you think that YouTube has broken down that barrier? So it's not 200 years anymore. It's like 200 fucking seconds, depending on your internet upload.
Damn, this pod just got a lot better.
I mean, look at it. One of the guys here is wearing a Deus Ex shirt. It's the Joe Rogan podcast.
And this?
Another guy, look at that fucking shirt.
It's a standard Kmart Hawaiian
Do you
shirt.
think that's the hand signal for this shirt?
Yeah. I used to work on American Chopper until it was canceled.
What's your
I
favorite
used to love that shirt.
Yeah, what's your favorite holiday destination? Ooh, look, it's a top-up between Malaysia and Bali, but I gotta say Malaysia.
Yes.
Good choice.
Yeah. Good surf. Some fucking scary jaguars, yeah. Get over animals.
I know. I will pay that. Every time the Joe Rogan post is like, I'm going to show you a fucking video of a hyena killing a zebra. I'm like, are we 10 years old here? Like,
They are
it's National
interesting.
Geographic.
They
I don't
are
need
interesting.
to.
And
so
look,
annoying.
I know we've just said get over animals, but this is our first segment for today. The Fludge have caught several animals.
Yeah, true. Yeah, fucking hypocrite over here. Get over animals.
No, but
Donate
no,
to animals.
Look, the thing is, I'm a fan of animals. I'm just not that big of a fan of predatory animals. There's something about it that's just kind of dumb.
Broy.
It's broy. It's too broy. It's like, unless an animal has fucking huge claws, it sucks.
And
it's
actually,
a fucking beater.
And actually,
That's really nativist. Just because there's only
Nativist.
marsupials over here,
Nativist.
you're
Yeah.
being nativist. That's racist. What about like all those Bengal tigers? You don't care about them?
No.
I actually.
But how about this? Okay.
Look, they're evil.
Well,
And don't you
They
think
can be very
Don't you think that,
evil.
like, you know,
Do you like the Lithgow puma?
I love the Lithgow puma.
Thank you.
But
It's a fucking endangered species.
I'm pretty sure it's just a black cat. But anyway,
Let's not say things that we don't know anything about.
that's true as
Why
well.
why do Australians hate predators so much? I think we had one and we killed it. The tiger, the Tasmanian tiger, whatever it was.
That's
We
not
straight
the
up killed them in
predators.
like 3 years.
Would you say a dingo
Every
is a
now and
predator?
then, Ali has a conversation with me where I realize, damn, this guy, an immigrant.
I know what's coming next.
The Tasmanian tiger. First of all, he mistook it for a Tasmanian devil, which is only excusable when you're 6 years old.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
the only
But I
predator?
suppose you are 6 years old. That's about as long as
Yeah,
you've
that's
been
how
here.
long I've been. Well, slightly more than that. I think I'm a little slow. I've been here for like close to 10 years now. But Jordan was like, I kept mistaking the Tasmanian tiger for devil, and Jordan was saying, no, there's still a few. I was like, man, your conspiracy theory is getting out of control.
Oh my
They're
God.
dead. He's like, no, there's a few in New South Wales. I was like, this
But I
guy
stand by
is
it.
He was
bonkers.
talking about the
Yeah, we
Lithgow
should-
puma.
No, I was talking about Tasmanian tigers.
You reckon they're still around?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I
There's-
just read one book from one guy that used to work in the national parks in Tasmania, and he was saying that
That'd be amazing if they are, but yeah.
he's putting towards the argument that most scientists give about aliens, that the universe is too big. We don't know, so probably.
Okay.
That's pretty much the thesis of his book. I don't know why I needed to write an entire book to say that. It was just a sentence. But he's saying that the terrain in Tasmania is so rugged that human beings find it really hard to traverse to go into the deep nether
That's
regions
true.
of Tasmania. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of hectares.
Yeah.
So we can't discount this when people say, I saw a Tasmanian tiger.
Yeah.
I'm sure my nan reckons she saw one.
Damn.
And I think it's just the same thing. It's like, yeah, but you do realize they do look a lot like a dog. And she was saying, no, it was a Tasmanian tiger because it had a big head. Yeah, or it's a staffy.
Did it have the stripes? They have stripes, Tasmanian tigers.
Yeah, they do.
But so do staffies.
That's true.
So
I mean,
does-
they have been, even though there's like mass extinction, and I know all about this because I had a little excursion to the Australian Museum. Tune into our Up Late pod.
Oh, yeah, you gotta.
Tune into our Up Late to hear all about it.
No, you really need to sign up to our Art Lake pod, because if you are craving new, chimpanzee that, look at that, he's written it down from the Ricky Gervais podcast. We've just realised, I don't know why it took us this long. Basically, Carl Pilkington,
Yeah.
his thoughts, him writing a diary of his day-to-day experiences. I don't think Ali and I have ever laughed that hard.
Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah,
his observations, we'll give him a little taser. The observations are insanely funny. Like one of the top observations from Miss Love going to Fairfield.
Don't say the raciest one.
Again, no, not the racist one, but it was, Miss Love just written this in block points on his notes. The ibises in this suburb have learned to fly.
No, that's too developed. It was just, ibises here have learned to fly.
Yeah, look, it's kind of the ramblings of a madman. It is pretty funny. But look, just to
So I
give you-
can't wait. I thought that it'd be really good if you went and tried to educate yourself, and you.
Well,
just
I
put
did.
Down the.
I did, and again,
Did you educate yourself?
yeah, and that's what, like, again, we're not going to delve into it because you want the goods. Sign up on Patreon; it's totally worth it.
But trust me, you do want the goods.
But just to, you know, this is a little bit of what I've read in the news and a little bit of what I learned there. Species extinction is like progressing at a rapid rate. Like they think that like a third of the world's species will be gone in 30 years. Terrifying stuff. But
Well, heavy.
Gary Awesome reckons that's full of shit.
yeah, of course he does. But
Well, there'll be new ones.
what's
do you
his
trust, cunt?
What's his sources? Saw it on Sky News, dickhead.
Didn't even see it on Sky News. Just pissed off at the environment for some reason.
Yeah, so like the worst enemy to have. But contrary, you know, as well as that point, I was saying that like a lot of species are still being discovered now. There's a huge slew of species globally that like some that were thought to be extinct that have come back quite a few actually that have reemerged. I can't think of.
So Gary Orsom isn't wrong.
Well, no. You can have. They're not mutually exclusive.
That was his argument.
Well, no, but there's two. That doesn't mean that there's not a huge drop in numbers on other species. But my point being is like it's cool to see that it's just like the ring-tailed dodo has come back to Mississippi, and it's like that's cool. So all I'm saying is like Tasmanian tigers. I'm with Jordan.
You never know.
Yeah.
It's seriously though. It's like if there is a large, massive area of terrain that is unexplorable, there's no reason for people to go there. It's not insane.
It's not insane, and also,
and it's happening. It's happening every
tigers
year.
apparently were a very shy creature. And if you're in the middle of the bush, this is what he was saying. Obviously, if you live in the wilderness, animals are aware of you kilometers before you could be aware of them. His main argument is that most of the time, if an animal allows you to see it, it's because it's kind of just assessed that you're not a threat.
Yeah.
Very rarely will an animal just be so stupid that it won't get that you're there to kill it or whatever. And it can even pick up on your emotion.
Yeah.
But you know
And don't you think that also if there was just a mass wiping out of Tasmanian tigers, the ones that would have survived would have been the ones that were naturally shy. So you are breeding shy Tasmanian tigers, if they still exist.
Well, that I second, because when we went to Pakistan, do you remember how like every bird, every animal over there was just shit scared of humans? They've been, because humans are horrible, I think, in that part of the world in terms of treating animals.
Yeah, they are.
There's,
Yeah. Well, globally, really.
Cancel me if you must, but it is fucking true.
But in terms of their respect to Allah, they are second to none.
That is, except for
the right thing
Except
to
Afghanistan.
worship.
yeah, and
And all the other stands.
Yeah. Look, the more north you go, the more respectful it is.
and how good is this? This takes us to the first thing. The floods are causing spiders to die and flee in droves, and spiders are the only kind of animal that Muslims cannot fuck with.
Why?
Why?
Because they are holy.
What?
Because do you want to know the actual story? So
Please.
Muhammad, when he was he was being persecuted in Mecca, so he had to go to a different city in Medina. And so these people were after him. This is what the text says. So the people were after him, chasing him to try to kill him, and he hides into a cave. And God
better than the Bible.
God then sends a spider that makes a really quick web on the entrance of the cave. So these guys on horses, they look at the cave like, oh, could he be inside? And the other guys, no, look at the spider web. It's clearly no one's gotten in there. All right, let's keep going. And since then, spiders are holy, that you should not kill them.
Whoa, that's some far-fetched shit. That's an episode of the 70s Spider-Man. Like, that happens in an episode of Spider-Man in the cartoon.
It's not far-fetched, you're triggering me.
You're going to...
Sorry.
This will be very surprising from someone who thinks that the Tasmanian tiger might still exist, but we don't know. We weren't there.
Yeah, true,
Yeah,
true.
So coming back to the point, I am very personally offended about these spiders dying. So what can we do?
What can we do?
What can we
And
do,
what
Jordan?
spiders? Tell us about it. Because I don't know if
red
you want to...
back,
Do you want to
dandy
talk
long
about the
legs.
donation or not?
Yeah, of course.
That's what the
I want
segment
everybody
is
to be
for.
donating to Animal Rescue Collective. I just slapped down 10 grand.
This man just gave 10 grand for that.
Thank you.
And I thought about giving money, but haven't yet.
You know what?
I don't think anyone's expecting you to.
Hey.
But I do expect him to be thinking about it, and then 3 years later,
I'll do it.
just putting it on Animal Rescue Collective's GoFundMe, and then putting in the comments for the floods.
Yeah, and at that point, it'll just be fires again. Like,
Yeah.
it'll be fires, it'll be
Yeah.
fires, and
Yeah.
just like, and I'm just like, no, this is for flood money. Just put that away for the next year.
Yeah, and then you're sitting there mulling on it again, being like, should I give money to this while you're watching Cher melt in it?
Well, watching, what?
Cher melting in the flood.
Do you believe in, Yeah.
Should I be helping Cher?
No, let's listen to that song again.
What do you?
What I'll mainly remember is the music.
What do you think of the opinion, Jordan, that these floods are for a reason, and by saving these species, we're interfering with the natural order of life?
Have you seen that argument?
No,
What?
I think I thought I just made it up, but I guess it's out there.
All right. That should say everything you need to know about it. Ali thinking of a joke is some people's honest opinion.
Is that Gary
Does anything
Awesome?
else need to be said?
Is that Gary Awesome's opinion?
No, his opinion's even dumber.
What is his?
All these lefties just keep talking about koalas. But have you ever noticed they don't give a shit about the millions of cockroaches that died in the bushfires?
I don't think many did.
You think they're faster than the fire?
No, I mean like cockroaches as in native ones?
Well, that in German, whatever.
I don't think there's...
I don't know. No
I don't
one-
think there's
he is right.
native-
No one gives a shit about cockroaches. We don't even know if they're native or not.
But they're not. Like cockroaches are usually... the cockroaches get in houses, only live in houses. They don't live outside.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, are we
No,
talking
they
about-
do.
No, they don't.
Is this still
I walk down to Bronte and I see thousands. It's
that's
so
a-
scary.
that's
You
a
go there at
different
12
variety.
at night.
That's
no,
different.
it's the German
Wait,
ones.
I'm
Really?
confused.
And they're fucking thousands of them.
Are we still talking about hipsters as cockroaches as a euphemism, or these are actual cockroaches now?
Well, they do only live in houses.
They do fuck a lot.
And they live in Bronte, thousands.
Okay, but like...
And they do
But,
live in
but the
crevices.
bushfires... Okay, there's no fucking German cockroaches in the bush.
Hang on. So are you saying that not a single German cockroach died in the bushfires?
Yes! I'm putting it down right now.
But some houses burned.
Okay, fine. The ones in the houses.
Excluding the ones from houses, you're saying no German.
Yes.
It's a huge call.
I'm calling it.
What?
Because they
You can't do this.
They don't live in the bush. They don't.
Wait, German cockroaches specifically.
Yes.
All right, the audience is going to have to weigh
Yeah,
in on
weigh
this.
in. There's like
I
there's
don't even know where my phone went.
right here.
there's native probably variety of native bugs and stuff that are similar. But like how Gary Olsen's been like, no one cares about cockroaches. It's like, look, unless you're talking about like those house cockroaches, they didn't die there. If you're talking about like centipedes and millipedes and all those
There's
kind of
bush roaches. There's Aussie bush
sure,
roaches.
I'm not talking about them. They
Viger
died.
says Australia has native roaches.
I'm not talking about
we
the
know
native.
that.
I'm not
Vega.
talking.
Give us some.
I'm not talking about the
Coney
native
for PM
ones.
2021 says Miss Love has it right.
Yay. but
Damn, you learned a lot at the Australian Natural History Museum.
I really did. But to go back to you can keep reading them. But like to go back to Gary Olsen's point, it's like no one cares about the roaches. It's like they definitely care about the native roaches. So that's bullshit, Mr. Awesome.
But how do you differentiate between native or actually someone just read that and I read it out loud. Apparently they're saying Broken Hair says the native roaches fly.
But so do Germans.
Not all of them.
The Luftwaffe is the
They're
greatest.
not like ibises, Miss Love.
Yes, they are actually.
Just fly from region
They
to
are
region.
actually. They are well, ibises obviously, found out can all fly, but some don't fly. Some cockroaches don't fly.
Well, here's
Yeah,
another
some
fun
breeds
fact.
of them, but if
Yeah.
you're talking about those German cockroaches that you see in houses, those motherfuckers fly.
No,
I
not
know
all of
because
them. Only
I
in
live
Bondi.
and every second night one flies into my eye while I'm sleeping.
Oh, so that's a native one.
Fuck.
No,
it's not. But that's because for
But
some
I'm glad it's not a native.
dude, there are none of them on the North Shore. The first time I saw a flying cockroach was in the inner west, and I screamed like a small schoolgirl. And they're in
As you
Bondi.
should.
And they're in Bondi. They're not. There's a lot of them that don't do that.
Well,
What are the ones in North Shore?
They don't fly.
Are they big?
Not really. Oh, they're kind of.
So those little teeny silverfish.
no,
so
they're
those
like
are the German ones probably.
yeah.
The one
They're not tiny, but they don't fly.
Mind
They don't
Balance has
fly.
another fact about them. One female German cockroach can produce up to 20,000 young annually.
Yeah, I figured that out. I live with them.
Dongi is making it clear that our conversation is very roachist.
Yeah, well,
Thank you for your
it'll
input.
come to that soon, I tell you. But back to the point. Gary Orson.
I'm
you
still
suck.
at that point. Like, can you actually debunk Gary Orson's argument? Because I'd be falling flat. I'd be like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, he's right. Certain animals get a lot of preference compared to others.
Only from dumb
A
people.
lot of
dude.
preference.
Only
Like,
from
I mean,
dumb
the fact that everyone is. Let's.
Oh, everyone cares about the koala
It's the
bear.
same-
No,
it's-
but this is the whole thing. Anyone that says that, I say, if you're preserving the habitats that koalas live in, you are stopping the majority of special extinction. A lot of it is happening in gum forests. Very little of it's happening in rainforest because there's very little rainforest in Australia. The predominant forest here isn't
Old
necessarily koala territory, but like those habitats, a lot because koalas are in it, are very biodiverse rich. And so if you protect koalas, you protect... and also the other thing is they're integral to those ecosystems. Their shit recycles because the whole thing in those areas, there's very little nutrients. That's why gum leaves are thriving. So... I don't know. That's my argument.
It's really interesting that you have a 1-point agenda: save koalas.
Because you want to make it as simple as possible. You don't want to be sitting there. Sometimes I do say there's 1,000 species going extinct. You go through all of those lines, but
biodiversity is the key. You do have to care about the cockroaches. You have to care about all of it.
So, hence, donate for floods. Go on Friendlyjordies Facebook page, and there's a link over there. But before you do that, please become a patron. Because that money is going to go to the animals, but the patron money comes
going to Ali's
animals.
car.
Yeah. Ali's car.
Hey, it's eco-friendly, whatever.
And I will save many roaches by buying a hybrid.
But honestly, I will say this. I don't say it enough. Very proud of you guys because your donation saved millions of animals in the bushfires from starving so that they can drown now.
Fuck.
You got to choose what you want.
The post-apocalyptic era is scary.
Fuck.
It's either mass bushfires or drowning.
It's really intense.
It's horrible. Like every year it becomes like, this is a 100-year event. I'm like, bitch, it happened last year.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's scary. And dude, it's gone to a point where like even my older brother was like, look, he doesn't deny climate change, but he's everything.
But he's one of those
that.
people that thinks, I think that a potato is as sentient as a tiger.
Yeah. But even he
L.
was
Ron
saying,
Hubbard vibes.
even he was saying yesterday that this flood is pretty crazy, and I think there will be more next year and the year after. I was like, why? Why do you think that? I think climate change might be real, man. Like, it's happening, I think.
Shit. Finally. The voice we all need on this.
He came to the
Pakistani
conclusion.
Bill Burr.
He came to the conclusion that I came to a few years ago. Unbelievable.
All right, look, before one more thing related to this. Jordan, you do not know this because I know for the last 5 days you've been hanging out with Tony Robbins.
Mr. Robbins.
I don't know how I'm awake at the moment.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Like the fact...
I just got to say this is how much I love Tony Robbins. I did not know that this seminar was in EST. I thought it was EAST.
Can I also say classic Jordies?
Yeah.
Classic Jimmy's. Like, so good. It's like, I did what? Oh, no. Now we got to go on a cruise to Antarctica. And it goes back to the other North Pole and that's it all over again.
Yeah, I know.
That's you, dude. And that's me too.
Yeah. It wouldn't be surprising if either of us woke up and there was all these like drag queens around us saying like, pack her up, Ned. Yes. You're part of an Antarctic drag show. Oh.
And that would be what would happen to you and frankly me as well.
It probably did.
Yeah.
But okay, this is the news. This is what's happening. Well, you're aware that it's been raining for fucking 4 days, but
barely. Look, I really have to say this. This is how much I love Tony Robbins. I will spend as much on protecting animals from going extinct on that man, even though he's worth billions of dollars, to be jet lagged in my own house. Jesus. I didn't know that was possible, but I'm waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning and then confronted with a giant man that informs us on the first day, guys, I might have to take some breaks because in my 30s I talk so much that my esophagus wore out. The only reason I'm able to talk is because my voice box infused with another organ. So you're just hearing it rattle. And then he just proceeds for the next 16 hours. So is that as a 62-year-old man saying, everybody get up. You're not doing enough aerobics. The only way to learn about taxes is by doing a lot of star jumps. He's such a king. He's the greatest man of all time.
That's actually funny. But look, I need... Okay, this is...
I can't get over it. I didn't know it was possible to be jet-lagged in your own house.
It's so satisfying, dude.
This is okay. It's dude. You know what's even more satisfying? This legitimately happened. Sorry, we're gonna have to deviate because when we were in Canberra, for some reason for all of the venues.
Did you meet any fans, by the way?
Yeah, we met fans, but like because of COVID, we couldn't meet all of them. But
Right.
this is there were no bathrooms near the green room. For some reason, before Jordan has to go on the show, he pisses like it's insane. So we would end up having to fill up bottles, right? But
No.
at one point he has the show is starting in like 4 minutes, right? He's like, I gotta pee. We finished all the bottles because he's like literally filled all of the available bottles. There's a Red Bull can. He's fucking pissing in the Red Bull can. He either misses or it overflows, and it's all over the floor and all over his pants and shirt. So he's literally covered with piss.
And my shirt. And I had to go on in 4 minutes. And Ali was laughing at me while I'm sitting there going, fuck.
No.
Not only that, he gets so nervous that he takes fucking hand sanitizer and he starts spraying all over the place.
Oh
He's
my
like, this is
God.
gonna beat the piss.
Funnier than the show. The backstage is funnier than the show. It was.
And so he's getting nervous, and I was like, look, no one needs to know the stain is piss. They'll just assume that you dropped water on it or something.
Did you tell him? You better have told him it was piss.
No.
Why would I tell them that?
Because that's going to be the funniest joke
Why
in
would
the act.
you tell them that lie?
Because I think...
Dude, amazing, and you suck for not fucking opening with that. Guess what I'm covered in? It would have been the funniest show in the act.
It happened over
Call
and
yourself
over
a fucking
again.
comedian.
I gotta say, miss, I wish I was as punk as you. That's insane. Just walking on stage and like, just like you to know, I pissed on myself.
Dude, if that...
I'm not Gigi Allen.
Yeah, clearly. And I'm really unimpressed. I'm impressed you
But I do
pissed on
perform in
yourself.
the exact same venues that he would. Fuck, they are scummy.
RSLs.
Not even. Just a lot of... You would love them. A bunch of... The only ways to describe them is rock dens. All these guitars flying in the air. I don't know.
Look,
I just feel like if Slash moved there, walked in there...
Yeah.
Gravity would stop working for him for a second and be like, float up to the ceiling and grab one.
I'll extend an olive branch. The fact that you know who Gigi Allen is overrides the fact that you didn't open with a piss joke.
and also, look, Superintendent Ullman says, Jordan, you should know we expect that of you. So
Yeah. Dude, that's just a plus. I wouldn't have been like, oh, Roche, what the hell? I would have just been like, that's why this cat's the comedian of our generation. Seriously. I would have just been like, better than me. Better person than me in every way.
Look, I would have said that. You know what was, now that I'm thinking about it, why I didn't start with that?
Why?
It wasn't that I pissed on myself. It was that I pissed on the floor. So I'd have to say to the
So
venue owner, yeah, sorry, I just had a bit of drip mist there. So we good for October or...
What happened to the Geordies I grew up with that will do anything for
and
a
also,
laugh?
let's be
Geordies?
real. That wasn't the
You're
first
right.
time someone
What's
pissed
going
on that
on,
floor.
man?
I don't need a Tony Robbins seminar. I just need to hang out with you.
You need me to
Piss on yourself. Make a big deal out of it.
Yeah. And it'll be the opposite side of my Twitter. It's like, now, I want you to sit down and eat as many Doritos as you can. Unless I can see a small slew of dust, like the dust storms in Australia a few years ago, you're not passing this course.
Yes.
Go.
And instead of jumping, you're not napping enough in the middle of the day.
Now,
Make sure that you sleep.
I've got a word for you, Jordan. I know you're not going to like it, but unless you want to, like, if you want to levitate to the next level of success, then you have to get overcome your fear of it. One word: burrito. And you're just like, no, you're
That's
like,
your word, though. That's your safe word.
Yes.
yeah, it is my word. That's why I'm training
Him
you.
breaking me up into groups where I have to talk to a bunch of mums from Mexico and the US about some women's gym.
Well,
that's part of
For
it.
those of you asking,
Cactus.
Jordan is attending a Tony Robbins seminar virtually. And that's what we're talking about. But look,
I don't know how I'm here. I don't know why I'm here anymore. It's too deep.
So now I'm going to get you to even focus on something even more deep. Actually, it's not that deep. So what's the Warrangaba Dam? What's the pronunciation?
No idea.
The dam. The big.
Warringanga.
No, the biggest dam.
Warrangamba.
Wait.
Warrangamba.
But before we get into that, just really quickly, I can't let this go. Why
Tame
didn't you
Impala.
tell him?
What?
To do the piss joke. Why weren't you like?
Because I was just laughing.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop
He was
laughing.
incapacitated.
But see,
He was
that's
out.
the
Even when we came back home and I was like, do you remember? I got incapacitated.
But you didn't
again.
put two and two together. You're laughing your ass off. Maybe other people would laugh.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't.
This is
even-
why I have to go on tour with you from now on. Fuck.
But dude, the most fucked up thing happened for the last tour.
Yeah, expose him.
His fucking clicker wasn't working, so I had to like be on the different end of the fucking venue, and his clicker wasn't working because the techie table was just too far away from stage.
Yeah.
And there were like
What did you do?
Dude, I had to sit there with the fucking keyboard, time each and every one of his joke.
Legend.
And the thing was,
You know what? He only screwed up about 5% of the slides.
You're
and
amazing.
Most of them were because you had to go back and forward on the slide.
Dude,
yeah.
good job.
Other than that, he got, I don't know, I'm guessing like 585 out of 600 slides correct.
And the thing was,
Dude, good
Jordan,
job.
Jordan would do like this pointer thing to when to change the slide. But the problem was, he'd be doing his joke, and then at the end of it, he would do that. But the thing is, his action of doing that, then it registering with me, and then me changing the slide, the joke wouldn't work because the timing wasn't right. So you had to fucking almost predict when he's about to do that to change the slide.
Fuck. What
But
show?
It ended up working out. Like it was a really good
What
show.
show was this?
It was a really good show.
Where was it?
Yeah, that was at that
the punk
Den.
rock.
But what
venue.
suburb?
I don't know, but I love that.
Wait, was this just now?
Belconnen.
Oh, so this was just now.
Yeah, like what the last show. that we
Oh
did.
shit, dude! I thought this was like a year ago. That's Belconnen, no big loss there. Really.
No, it ended up being a really good show. But anyway, sorry, I'm gonna come back to this point. So the dam overflowed, right? Because obviously the flood was just too insane for it.
Right.
So then Gladys and a lot of people that live, the Penrith area.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
It's a big valley.
It's a big valley, right? So it got flooded because of the dam water. So then Gladys came out and started criticizing, initially at least, the management of the dam, saying like, you knew that these rains were coming. Weather predictions are, almost extremely accurate now. Why did you not let keep the dam capacity at 25%, so when the rains would come, we would not have all of these people flooded? The dam management are saying, first of all, you don't know anything about how this works. Do you realize getting rid of 75% of a dam water
Is a flood.
It's like, it's not only a flood. It's like, in order to safely do that, it would take 300 days. And so
Whoa,
you're saying that
shit.
we started
You
risking.
had your
And what
time.
if like the weather report was kind of, what if like it didn't work out? Then we would have most of Sydney, in fact, all of Sydney and a fair bit of New South Wales with no water at all.
Shit.
So then Gladys, I think she's retreated a bit back, but initially she was getting a lot of flack for like, because the optics are pretty bad. They apparently spent like, I don't know, several $100 million on that Hawkesbury bridge, which was supposed to be flood proof. Like they designed it to be flood proof, and that was the first thing that got flooded.
Fuck.
So Gladys was
Shit.
under fire, and then she pinned it on dam, and the dam experts are like, you don't know a damn thing, Gladys.
Dang.
Anyway, that's what happened.
Damn.
And Gladys has been silent ever since.
Fuck.
There you go.
Well, that's. Can they like keep any of this
I
water?
love that. That's a premier's entire job, isn't it?
Whinging.
Talking about infrastructure until they get voted out.
I don't know. They've built a lot of fucking apartments in Zetland.
It's an infrastructure of type, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like,
Corporate.
instead of giving people, I don't know, a nice vegetable korma curry, they're just giving them fairy floss.
Yeah.
It's the fairy floss of infrastructure.
Corporate handouts, right?
This,
Surely.
this apartment block probably is made of fairy floss. You reckon? Like, you could just punch that through.
Yeah.
There'd just be Hansel and Gretel in there, just being like, thank you.
I was getting
Do you know where the
claustrophobic.
German woods are?
Well, and while on that topic about premiers and infrastructure, Gladys has been referred to ICAC once again.
Really?
3 times.
Yeah, because this is like legitimate stuff. So
I
they're saying
can't
that
believe
all of
it.
the things there were like several $1 million, close to like hundreds of millions of dollars funding that was approved by Gladys for the now disgraced MP, the
Old
bad
mate.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
Which is Maguire. And
Lizzie.
Maguire.
and she didn't have she was in a relationship with him for 4 or 5 years or whatever, and she never declared the conflict of interest. So they've sent her back to ICAC. So remains to be seen what happens after that. There is one good news. The good news is that I always told Jordan that I don't think Gladys is going to lose the elections, because my mom, who is very apolitical, doesn't know shit about Australian politics, looked at Gladys and would say, I kind of like this lady. I think I might vote for her. Yesterday, Gladys was on, and she was like, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't believe her anymore. So maybe the tide is changing.
Well, apparently, like, ScoMo's dropped like 13 points in the polls of popularity or whatever.
What? So that just means from 78 to 62.
Something like that. I don't know.
Something like that.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think it's. I think it's lower than that. I think it's
I
like
think
a
it'd be much
dizzy
lower.
54%.
Yeah, yeah. Still creaming fucking elbow.
No. I wouldn't say creaming. They're not. It's not creaming level.
It's getting
Handsomely
closer.
beating.
No,
It's getting closer.
it's getting close. It's
the
getting
poll.
neck
But
and
my
neck.
question is, Jordan, I don't, because you've been following elections since the fucking I don't know whenever. Is it possible? Has it ever happened that a party that is popular in the polls, but the preferred prime minister is not theirs, it's the opposite, and have ended up winning the elections?
Almost always. Almost always the preferred PM is the PM.
That's what I'm asking you. So almost always. So basically, unless Albo climbs ratings and actually ends up defeating ScoMo in the polls, he's not going to win.
No. I mean, everyone always says that Keating was really unpopular. He wasn't unpopular. Labor was unpopular. He was more popular than Howard.
Why was Labor unpopular?
Just been in for so long, and well, the same thing as always. The press had turned against him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think Whitlam might have been more popular. Kevin Rudd was more popular than Howard.
That's crazy.
So
Like,
you
that's-
almost, so that's something that you really should be doing. Like you should have the preferred PM if you want to guarantee a win. Because that's what happened.
Yeah, it's probably
last
more
time in
important than opinion
2019.
polls. No, that's not true. No. Because every other election, again, Howard beat Keating, Rudd beat Howard. No, wait, sorry, you know what I'm saying, right? Tony Abbott beat Kevin Rudd. So I'm just delirious. I've had 2 hours sleep in the last 4 days.
Tony Abbott was not the preferred PM.
No.
Hey, Rudd was.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. So there is an exception. So there's hope.
But-
That means.
What do you mean preferred PM? But like by just by personality? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Ah.
And I think there was one brief period where the Telegraph did a really skewed poll and said, it's official. Tony Abbott is preferred PM by a margin of error, 1 point.
Oh, really?
And that was in the thick of their assault on Kevin Rudd.
But by that logic, then Albo will win it. No one likes ScoMo right now.
No, that's not true.
But he's still the preferred PM.
Says
There's a lot more people that don't like him, but still,
Right,
majority of the
okay,
people,
okay.
I think,
Right.
no, they don't. I don't think they like the Liberal Party. I think they prefer ScoMo over Albo.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
No, majority
sorry.
of
My
people's-
bad. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying.
Anyway, so I
Get
was it remains to be seen. In other news, there are calls within New Zealand to label Australia as a rogue nation.
Like in Star Wars.
Like in
Pretty much.
What the hell does a
international
rogue
relation.
nation mean?
Well, it basically means
We
that
are a rogue nation.
well, that's but not for the reasons that you might be thinking of.
What the hell are you talking about?
Well, you know how recently, I think it may have been Peter Dutton who deported a 15-year-old back to New Zealand, and we've been constantly deporting. We have this thing called a character test, and any permanent resident that might have been living here for, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years, if they fail a character test, which could mean any kind of criminal history, you're sent back to New Zealand.
Just New Zealand? Just Kiwis?
Well, yeah, a lot of Kiwis live here, so I think it impacts. But they could technically do that with anyone. It doesn't get into news. New Zealand has since the population of Kiwis in Australia is large enough, it gets into the news more often. But Jacinda Ardern is not a fan of this policy. And recently they deported a 15-year-old, which by most international laws is completely illegal and against human rights. You cannot deport minors into a place that that they might not have any experience over, might not have any family, blah, 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 shit like that. And so New Zealand is like, Australia is a bad player in terms of climate change. Australia is clearly violating human rights, and not just in this case, like all the offshore detention center, Manus Island, Papua New, all of that stuff. Basically, Australia, they're saying, let's admit it, they're not a good international player right now, and we need to make that clear in the international community that they are, according to them, we are a rogue nation now.
What is the definition of a rogue nation?
Well, a nation that is not working towards solidarity with other nations, but is a nation that is working towards...
Is America
anarchy.
a rogue nation?
Well, it's a matter of opinion,
Was under
right?
Trump,
really.
definitely.
Right, yeah.
The thing is, Australia won't be a rogue, would not... But if, like, North Korea is a known rogue nation.
Right.
What that means is they have sanctions on them, so they can't sell their stuff. It's actually really, really bad for a country to be considered a rogue nation because...
Yeah,
basically, it means that you're not going to be able to earn a lot of money because of it. But
really? Whether you're
Yeah,
excluded
because
from trade or something.
yeah, you can be excluded. Preconditions of free trade agreements are
China-
often that you're not.
Is China a rogue nation?
Well, look, unless your country
Rogue planet.
is super insignificant, you're not really a rogue nation because China. They're trying to make China into a rogue nation now, but China is too big to be actually considered a rogue nation. Because you need to have like the international community all together towards considering this one.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Iran is considered a rogue nation, so you really need to be isolated before it happens.
Do you think that having that law to just extradite people on character is would reduce crime?
Well,
Probably not.
it remains to be seen. Really,
It's
it's
sort of
still
like
we're gonna. I think like in about 4 or 5 years, we're gonna have like more data on how. Because if you think about it, this entire policy of, haphazard deportations has only begun since, 2013, 2014? And initially it was very focused on all of the boat people and we've only very recently just started to... What we're doing is basically we're exporting our problem. So if we see a New Zealand person, Kiwi, commit some crime... We're hoping for...
I didn't know Kiwis could commit crimes.
Are you kidding?
They're so such chill people. They seem to be the...
You know what are the two Maori gangs called again?
Oh, true. The Maori... Yep.
What are they called?
But to be fair,
dude,
it's not the Maoris that are really getting deported. It's mostly...
No, but like this is just a side point about New
You're
Zealand.
talking about like the Mount Druid gang or something? That the rap group?
Well, 1-4.
Yeah.
1-4.
Yeah, new entrants. No, I can't remember what they're called.
Christ.
Mucka Mad. No, that's Chris Lilly. I can't remember.
I don't.
But the thing is, I was talking to a lawyer here whose dad is a prominent judge in New Zealand. And she was saying that the legal system in New Zealand is so overwhelmed by these two factions of bikies that are fighting each other.
In New Zealand?
That he was saying that
Or in Australia?
the job in New Zealand,
Right.
the job of the legal system in New Zealand is to act as referees between these two. So they kind of have to make sure that they're getting like an even amount of quotas. Otherwise, they'll come in and be like, oh, what? So you're arresting all of these mucka mad boys, but you're not arresting any of these bra boys or whatever they are. So they just go, yeah, you're right, Cooney. You're going to jail as well.
What?
Right, everything's fair now.
Are you kidding?
Because they don't want them coming together ever. Because if they did, the New Zealand military would be overridden.
The old playbook, divide and rule.
Dude, that
It's
is
actually
pretty badass. That's Mad Max. I'm kind of...
No, it's not Mad Max. It's Warriors. It's the movie The Warriors.
Warriors.
But having said that, there is...
Come out to play.
You guys want to Nislo's back? He's back. He's right here.
To
It is purest form. This is like when Beast Wars came back.
Sorry, God.
No, I just want to
Great
add
film.
that there is no evidence to suggest that people in New Zealand commit more crimes than Australia. I just want to put that out.
War crimes.
Not war crimes, more crimes
Oh,
than Australia.
sorry.
So the fact
Really?
that we are... Yeah, I don't...
There must be some evidence that one of us is committing more crimes.
well, there were bikie gangs in Australia. There are bikie gangs in Australia too.
Bikie
and they
gangs?
no, but I'm
committed
just
rough.
wondering statistically per capita
I have no
who's
idea.
committing more
Well,
crimes.
I'll be Jamie, and why don't
Do
you...
it. Look
Miss
that
Love,
shit
make
up.
some sounds, and I'll quickly look this up.
You do the bottles. Or do you
I'm
wanna do
basing
the-
this purely off of nothing. The fact that all I know about New Zealand is that your Prime Minister's teeth are too big for her head.
In the meantime,
Pantera,
give me your
Pantera.
impersonation of that character. I'll do the bottles.
Warriors, come out to play. I'm a bad little boy.
Yo, Cyrus has got some stuff down. We can't be packing. No bopping when we get to Manhattan.
You know, the only takeaway that I have about everything is pretty much the same as New Zealand. It is the Warriors, because the thing that I was most enraptured by in that film was, fuck, they all have bad teeth.
What, in the Warriors?
I think just in the 70s, it must have been before they started putting fluoride in the water, and I thought, Alex Jones, is this the world that you want?
Well,
All these ratty little nubs.
Probably wasn't fluoride. It was probably that like flossing wasn't a cultural phenomenon. You know what I mean?
Flossing's not a cultural phenomenon with me. It really should be, though.
All right, we've got some results over here. It turns out that in terms of gun crime, New Zealand is much higher, but
Suck dick.
murder rates are much higher in Australia. So that means, I guess, more
do it with
people
their own
are actually getting killed over here. Rapes are
Yeah, but is this
are
per
more
capita
prominent
or
in
not?
all per capita.
Uh-huh.
So we're worse when it comes to rape. But there are more gun crimes over there. But I'm guessing that's because they just their gun laws have recently changed, whereas ours were changed much
Look,
before
it's
that.
just in direct relation to...
It's comparable either way, is what I'm saying. So
Yeah, but
there's
it's
no particular
comparable
reason.
into what the government has done about it.
Here.
Don't you reckon? So it's such a good counter argument to I don't know,
America.
like libertarianism. Because if there's libertarianism, gun crime goes up, as does rape and murders. But if you invest in police instead of defunding them,
And you hated Howard. It's the one thing where everyone's like,
gun
he
law.
banned the guns.
yeah,
This
yeah,
guy,
yeah,
look,
yeah.
did you know he banned the, come here, he banned the guns, mate?
I'm aware.
No, listen, mate. No.
You haven't heard
Yeah,
the whole
you
story.
just come closer. This
Hey,
thing
as a
about Howard
Muslim,
is-
I'm not a fan of that. I
And
would
look-
need guns any moment. You never know.
No one in this podcast is a fan. We're just saying what his record is.
I'm just telling you that, you know, Howard wasn't all bad. Okay?
Clearly.
No. Hello.
I would really like to live in a country where when our cricket team wins, you go outside and everyone's shooting AKs in the air.
Is that what happens in Pakistan?
Yeah.
Yes. And people
Every
die
fucking
because the bullets
time.
just like, you know,
Fall
someone will
down.
come down being like, what a beautiful day in Karachi. No!
Smoke as thick as the eye can see. Jesus.
I wish that was
That
like
happens.
a joke.
It's not
That's
really not a joke.
brutal, dude.
All right. In other news, so here's
A man got his head exploded by a random bullet.
have you seen the next possibly the next North Korean leader?
No.
Wait.
Basically,
What?
what's happening is
What, is Kim Jong-un
the
dead?
No, he's not dead. So what's happening is that people did not the lobby within North Korea that was against the U.S. was not happy with Kim Jong-un being too chummy with Donald Trump. And so they've put this forward, this new face, which is this chick who is Kim Jong-un's sister.
What?
Dude, she looks menacing. And
Whoa.
she...
Can you get a photo of her?
Yeah, I'll bring out a photo.
I would like
for
to
the
see
audience,
that.
check out the photo too. But basically, she is just a fierce woman, and she just this is what she told Joe Biden as soon as Joe Biden came in. She was like, she warned U.S. not to cause a stink now that Joe Biden is there.
What does that mean?
It means like don't be a potty pooper. Essentially, she's basically tough-eyeing Joe Biden, and she's saying
Jesus.
that,
How, so Kim Jong-un is not tough enough.
this is the lady.
Whoa,
This is
she's
Kim
looks-
Jong-un's sister.
Is that
Yeah,
the
that's Kim Jong-un's sister. She looks
She
like
was fucking murderous.
she looks insane. And the military, basically, they're saying that there were news reports recently that Kim Jong-un is feeling sick because he has too many chocolates and too much liquor, and maybe this lady is now going to be the supreme leader. So there is a huge effort to get rid of Kim Jong-un and bring
She
in
looks
this
like
lady.
the character from The Grudge, dude. She's scary.
Who's pushing for this? Generals.
generals that are against normalizing relations with North Korea, because North Korea.
So some generals are into it.
Yeah, a lot of generals are really into it. It really depends, because the thing that happened with Kim Jong-un is that Kim Jong-un is being looked at as like kind of stupid, because the U.S. under Trump said, yes, we will start negotiations with North Korea. But the negotiations always started with, so the negotiations about completely denuclearizing the Korean peninsula, which is just a non-starter for North Koreans. So the North Koreans are like, all of these negotiations are bullshit because it's about how we are bad. The negotiations need to be give and take. The U.S. does not seem to be giving anything over here. We are too afraid to get rid of our nukes because we've seen what happened to Saddam. We've seen what happened to Gaddafi. We've seen what happened to most of anyone that strong arms the U.S. and is not big enough to hold their own. They fucking come in and they change the regime. And the nuclear button is it's basically a suicidal mission. Like, that's the only thing that keeps our regime intact. And Kim Jong-un was basically trying, in a way, to appease the U.S., getting rid of that one suicide option. And so we need to keep that suicide option to keep somewhat of a level playing field in any kind of negotiation. So the negotiation...
that was stupid. Why the fuck did he... What an idiot. Why did he get rid of the nuke?
Because I think he's like a peace-loving man. He studied in Russia. He's been overseas. He likes basketball. And he's like, why can't we just have more Nike? And this chick, I think she saw the opportunity... and she's just like,
Christ.
no, we're gonna fucking piss on the ashes. She Miss Love is right. She looks like a character from The Grudge. She is, and she's being pitched as that she is fierce.
What's? I think that's the journalist that's trying to take you down.
Damn.
Look, yeah. Is it possible to leave North Korea? Like, if you're like...
Yes, but like only with approval from the government. You can't just like leave because you want to.
Is it still...
But
like,
look, you know what I hear as well?
What?
You ready to step on another landmine, boys?
No.
You don't want to?
Well, go on.
Should we
Sorry,
move on?
for those of you that are listening, her
Panthera.
name is Kim Yo Jong, so you can look her up in
She
your
looks
own time.
terrifying.
But sorry, you were saying, Jordan?
Yeah, about people leaving North Korea. No one's doubting that it's bad in North Korea, but
Oh, no.
I've been hearing a lot that a lot of these claims about how bad it is are greatly exaggerated because they're looking for citizenship, and pretty much South Korea, just to put shit on the North Koreans, say like just ham it up heaps. And so they'll just be there and be like, my whole family. And it's not actually like
What
that.
about the Vice documentary, man?
What the fuck? So they just went in there and just like, check out this hotel. Dude, there was no difference between the Vice documentary and me going to Turkmenistan. It's just that we used more upbeat music.
Yeah,
Like, what the hell's happened? They're
exactly.
just going around being like, there's no one at that fucking casino. What the fuck?
Panthera.
Yeah,
but like, look, I will agree with you on the extent that, look, when you're trying to make any state look an evil regime, everything about that state becomes unbearable. Like before, when we wanted to get rid of Colonel Gaddafi, you were saying how horrible Libya is. And to be honest, you go to Libya now and you ask each one of them, they're like, Gaddafi's regime was amazing. Gaddafi's
Comparably.
regime gave subsidies on electricity. It gave
I don't even think it's
people,
comparatively. It's just,
like-
look, I've always said this, dictators are good when they're not in America's pocket. Usually they just have a lot of resources, and it's that same thing. It's just like, look, one corrupt family is not as bad as hundreds of corrupt businesses. They don't drain as many resources. And so as a result, they like, how many fucking Lamborghini speedboats do you need? I'm going to say 600. And then after that, what's 601 going to do?
I mean, look, I agree.
Got it in every shade of green.
You can look at like Russia's example, right? Russia went from like this centralized dictatorship, and in the 90s, it went from that to basically a crude version of an oligarchy, which, to be fair, most countries are, including ours. Russia's oligarchy is more crude than ours, but we also live. So the point is, how much better is the oligarchic system in Russia compared to the centralized Bolshevik Soviet Union structure?
I
would say not that much of a difference. It was basically, it was so bad that they had to get someone like Putin to take them back to like a very Soviet style of governance minus all the communist rhetoric.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's not to discredit that at all, because that's their fair points. But it is my job to point out the irony that none of us would have a job if that was the case.
No, we would. We'd just be sitting there talking about how sick Putin is.
I
the
would
difference.
probably be in jail. Because I would say something that it's just be like, you said his shoes were white, but you didn't say they were very white. Life in prison for me.
Yeah, but then he'd just be walking past the prisons one day and he'd be like, Berishnikov? He's Berishnikov. Let him out. This is my cousin. Don't put him in again.
No, I'm just pointing out the irony that, like, in Turkmenistan, you can't really be a comedian, you can't be a musician.
but
you know what?
But it's not true.
Be.
Like I would kind of like look.
But you know what? Fuck those people. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'll take one for the team.
Complaining about the
too.
government, I'd just be sitting there doing the other half of my job, which is, like, what's up with Eshkebet? It's so clean, huh? It's cleaner than my plates at home that I don't wash. Thank you.
I honestly think that's also a bit of like.
It's funny, actually. It's funny.
That's all. Like in my opinion, and this is my opinion. It's a bit of Western propaganda when that happens. That we live in such freedom where we can criticize the government, and if you were in some other country, you would be jailed. It's true. If you say a certain things, you could be jailed. But what the difference is, our spectrum of debate might be slightly bigger than theirs, but we both live in restrictive spectrums of debate, right?
That's true.
And it's not that you can't criticize the government in these sorts of places. You can, because, otherwise there would be any kind of changes in government. Like, you need every...
You know what? Theirs
country-
is actually much more productive as well.
Well,
because you
that
can't
is-
change the government. So you know what they criticize? Bureaucracies.
They criticize
They
bureaucracies.
criticize, like, the transit system.
Well, to be
Their
honest,
spectrums are slightly different, but it is not correct to say that by our existence, automatically we would be in jail. Not true.
I'm not saying that.
We would not be. You know what we would be doing? Like, there are certain hot button issues even in Australia that we refrain from. That's going to happen over there too. The
That's
hot button
true.
issues might be different over there.
And there might be more like, okay, you go to prison now instead
Yes,
of being,
and like if you
yeah.
criticize, and the repercussions could be serious in certain over here, if you criticize, let's say, the oligarchy too much, they cancel you. You're not going to have means of income. Over there, you might get poisoned. So those distinctions are there. I'm not denying it. But what I'm saying
But
is
it's also the thing that everyone always says of, in China, you if you criticize the government, you go to jail. That is exactly what the Liberals are trying to do now to whistleblowers. There's 3 whistleblowers, Agent J, Agent K, Agent J and Agent K. Sorry, I'm too deluded.
The hell are you talking about?
Witness K and Witness J.
Okay.
But both of them are
Mr. Thompson.
whistleblowers of what happened in Afghanistan, and both of them are getting arrested without committing any crimes.
Really?
Yeah. The same thing happens here. It's just what
Holy
Ali
shit.
was saying.
Okay, that's
it's
pretty-
actually what George
that's pretty
Orwell
mind-blowing.
was saying about...
That's pretty mind-blowing.
He was always saying that his satires, everyone started reading into it, and it was part of the propaganda model of the day that they were saying, this is about Soviet Russia, and he was saying, yeah, Animal Farm was. Big Brother, the whole point of Big Brother is all of these governments pretty much operate in the same way. And I'm saying that in Britain, it's really not that different.
And you could argue, like I would argue, that 1984 is more about capitalist countries than communist countries, because communist countries control as well, but theirs is way more direct. It's like straight up, if you talk about this, we will poison you, we will kill you, we will put you into jail. The 1984 book about the Big Brother was way more complicated. It was like how you can mind control. And if you look at the
Thought
world
control.
around today, it's prevalent more in capitalist countries. Like, mind control is more prevalent in Soviet Union or even in today's Russia. Everyone knows what's up. Like, they
There are
know
some
that these
valid
guys are
points
fucking
there,
with us.
yeah.
Over here, we genuinely believe that our government is doing great work for us. So I would argue that
In a way-
1984 is more true for us than them, even though their control might be slightly more.
because it's more under a veil of sort of
Because we buy into it. We
justice
bought it.
and truth. And
We're like, yep, the ABC is.
but don't you think? But
impartial
doesn't that mean?
and they're
Doesn't that
working-
mean you should be
And
skeptical
they even
of the
have,
government?
for fuck's sake, like, it's called Big Brother in the book, but here, the ABC's name is Auntie.
I didn't
pretty
know
fucking
that.
close.
Auntie Donna. I didn't know it was Auntie. I didn't know it was.
Wouldn't that be amazing if the fucking, like, hi, guy, whatever his name is with the beard, ends up becoming the next commissioner of the AEST.
He'd probably do a better bloody job. But don't you think? But isn't that? But I thought you really liked. Would you say your psychology is trusting governments generally, or is it more the role of governments?
My psychology is that look, every government, if you're over here,
Are you skeptical of government, even though you realize they have a significant, huge role? Do you know what I mean? Is it natural to be skeptical?
Yeah, I am skeptical of government. But in this case, what I'm trying to say is that just this one thing that a lot of times every governments over here and governments in like Russia, China, in order to like convince you to follow their agenda, they like to make things simple. They like to paint pictures as good and bad, and usually the opposing side is bad. And when they say that they're bad, they almost project a lot of things that might not necessarily be accurate, or it needs more nuanced explanation to truly understand that. That does not work in our government's interest, because why would they want you to sort of question all of that stuff? So we end up believing, if I was in China, I'd be in jail. You think every Australian ever would be in jail just by being in China? Do you know?
No, but I'm saying you and Alex Jones aren't so different. All he is a skeptic that doesn't believe the rhetoric of the government, doesn't believe that it's a, all powerful, just democracy. Like, he's skeptical of that, and I'm like,
yeah, Mish, but like that's our entire thing. We are skeptical. Like
I'm saying it's a good thing.
We work for Friendlyjordies, which is an entire brand made on.
I'm saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying, No, I'm just trying to clarify, because sometimes when you talk about your bloody communist utopias, it seems like even in a communist utopia, you have to be skeptical of the powers.
I'll make one thing clear, and I want to bring this out. When I talk about like communism, I'm a communist. It's kind of a joke now. I'm not actually one anymore. At one point, I genuinely was. Like, I genuinely wanted to bring a revolution. But like, you sort of evolve. I'm almost 30 years old, and if someone told me that you want like a communist...
Now in a shirt business.
Now I have a shirt business.
You should be a capitalist, really.
But what I'm saying is like, but I learned a lot from my communist phase, and some of those ideals stick. So if someone, like this argument of like, oh, you criticize the government, that means you want a communist utopia. Not really. Actually,
I'm not saying
I would be the first to say that the 20th century communist utopia is worse than the reality we're living in now. But that does not make the reality that we're in today perfect.
But here's the thing. Don't you think that it might not actually be that different if the government was a communist government in Australia?
The problem with communism for me isn't necessarily that. I think some of the economic principles are flawed. So there's a structural problem over there. So I'm not necessarily saying that a particular set of a communist government wouldn't be able to perform better than
but as you're saying,
Australia.
Putin pretty much just installed a very similar bureaucracy.
There was no problem with the bureaucracy, because what people don't realize is that they always say, oh, Putin is a dictator. Name me one time when Russia did not have a dictator. Like, you are talking about this mythical place where Russia is democratic. So they always had a dictator, and let's be real, they will have a dictatorship. That's how every country has different culture, and their political structures are based on that culture. So the dictator aspect of it isn't necessarily bad, and they did move back to like a communist understanding of how bureaucracy works. That wasn't wrong. I'm talking about the actual some of the Marxist principles of how economies can grow was perhaps wrong. So you look at China today. China hasn't changed any of the stuff that they did in their communist period. But what they did was they revised the principles of the economics that the Marxist system was based on. So if someone tries to bring those exact same models today and be like, okay, we just didn't do it right then, and now we can do it well, I'm highly skeptical of that. There was a problem with the theory itself, not necessarily the application.
I'm saying, look, what Russia had running against it is it had a superpower that was a lot richer and more powerful than it was throughout the entire Cold War, that was constantly choking it economically, and it also had the factor that it's Russia, it's not America. So you basically just live I don't know, if your entire country is a freezer, it'd be mad when you want snow pops. But other than that, it's not really like the best, most bountiful country. So I'm saying if there was a Soviet-style government in Australia, I don't know if it'd be that different to what it is now. In fact, I probably would imagine that we would be a lot richer than we are now.
Dude, my question...
That remains to be seen. But I would say one thing, and I'm not advocating this in any which way, but I think Australia can work in a dictatorship. There are certain countries that wouldn't be able to work in a dictatorship. So, for example, like places like India, Pakistan, they're just too diverse. Like, you cannot get a single clan or a single individual to be able to command so much power without individual rebellions because it's just too fucking diverse. Maybe 1,000 years from now, like maybe if you have a strategy like China, which is just like ignoring the differences, just making everyone Han through whatever, like in certain cases, even genocide. Australia is largely homogenous, which is why a dictatorship could work over here. But I'll step back 1 second. It's like, I do not want that. I don't think that's the best way to run your country.
Well, that's why we have differences of opinion. That's fine.
Dude, but my question was just how healthy is it? How skeptical should you be of governments? That's my question. That's all I'm asking.
All the time. You should be skeptical. Where again, as someone that just criticized Marx shit.
It's healthy to be skeptical. It's healthy to ponder. To be skeptical, to ask questions, to explore ideas. Conspiracies in there, I mean, they can be dangerous, especially in the net. But like conspiracies at their heart are creative exploration of alternative ideas. Surely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
So that's all I'm asking. I'm just asking, like, all I'm asking. Yeah, that's all I was asking. Like, I'm just saying, you have a lot of similarities to character. You know, we all do. To like, I'm glad you agree with that because I would have, you're not that different than me or Alex Jones.
No, I genuinely dig democracy. Like I'm Jordan, and I do sometimes question it because I'm clearly on the losing path. If you look around those democracies,
they're slow.
They're slow,
they're
and
fucking
they're
flawed as
actually
shit.
losing.
Yeah,
and if you look
they
around,
are
like
slow. I mean,
if you look around some of the authoritarian systems in the world today, they seem to be progressing.
did you?
Hey, you know what? Actually, sorry, because everyone's going to hate this. They hate it when we talk about this. But
Nuclear
if you
power.
want to see a better version of our argument, you should watch Bill Maher's second newest.
I was just going to say that. I was
Which
just
like
going to say that.
basically
That's pretty much our argument, except for he's just... The thing I hate about fucking the internet is you just have to sit there and say, everything sucks, nothing's mad. As soon as you say something's good, everyone goes nuts.
yeah.
Do they?
Huh?
Do they?
Yeah.
What, so if you
can't
want
ever give anything props unless it's an age celebrity that has turned into a meme. And then you can be nice to them for about 3 months.
Only politics.
Huh?
Only with politics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about politics. So
Yeah.
you could never say this system's better. Yeah?
Yeah.
You can't say that. Everyone just goes, yeah, but what about?
Have you seen his?
I don't
Have you
think
seen
a
it though?
better way to yeah, I have.
It is fucking.
Dude, I
on
live
point.
and breathe that.
Yeah.
Rule.
I'm a big fan now. By the way, it just took me like 10 years, but I'm a big fan.
It's not what maybe a better way to phrase it. It's not that the system is better, but
It's more effective.
Currently, that system is producing better results than our system is. So
But
that
not
isn't
just better.
way better, and that is true. That's a tough pill to swallow. But that doesn't mean you copy a different system.
Why not?
That's again a big because every system
There are
needs to be
factors.
based on local cultural beliefs. Because if you try to install a completely alien system that might be effective in another country, it would not work in your country.
They're even more homogenous than us.
Chinese culture is different to ours. They genuinely do not mind being like, for example, the popularity of the communist government in China
Super high.
is insane.
Yeah.
Because culturally, they don't mind being,
Jordan belongs there. You should really be there. Like their culture is like if like some government official comes out and he's like, sorry, and he's like uniform and just like, yeah, and then like you're eating a Pop-Tart but you've eaten too much. He just goes whoosh, and like whacks you on the back and they're just sort of like, I deserve that, and walk around. Like that's your paradise.
I do. I really like when someone's just strict around and like when there's like whiny little brats, they get punished for being whiny brats.
But I can assure you, misloves of this country will not be okay with it. They will, and the
Power
system.
We've
to the
said this a
people.
million times before though, but no one would have thrived more behind the Iron Curtain in this podcast of Miss Love. You would have been fucking mad as well because you can just put your head down and be like, okay, I'm in this environment now, so I'll just fill out this form that's completely meaningless and I'll do that until I retire.
I think I'd be good for a while, but then by the end I'd be like, hey, I want to listen to a Jimi Hendrix record. And they'd be like, that's it, life in prison. And then it wouldn't be so great.
But that's not what happened in... See, this is the whole thing. You hate Tito, but Tito created the ideal paradise for Croatians.
What, siphoning their tax dollars and like putting like Serbian bureaucratic control on all their resources.
Yes. Because this is... I was just sitting there, your dad describing growing up under Tito's Croatia.
Yeah.
And he was...
This happened, Dad came.
Isn't this amazing? He was saying that it was very silly. I had to get up at 6 a.m. I felt very tired. I had to go to work. So I was like, why can't we go to work at 9 like they do in the US, Australia? Maybe have some triple M's on the radio so you can listen to U2 on the way. So you go in there and then everybody is asleep. They sleeps until maybe 10, 11. But I kept to work. And then one day, one of the men, he was in charge of building a sewer system or something, and he really messed it up. He destroyed the town by how bad it was. And so I was yelling at him, what the fuck? What is wrong with you, Bilaf? What the fuck you do? And then my boss come up to me and say, hey, leave Bilaf alone. He's sleeping. As if you wouldn't have thrived there.
I would have.
You are Homer Simpson. All he does is sleep behind the fucking buttons. You would have fucking loved that place. And then they were just like, the only thing you would have hated is getting up. But then you would just be like, I don't want to be at work. Don't want to be at work. Go back to sleep again.
Look, this is what the trajectory would have been. I would have cruised through life, and then I'd probably hit like 40 and have some midlife crisis about being like, no, I need the like hard self-help neo-capitalist like free market kick up my ass because it inspires me to do things and that's how I actually get things done. And then I'd probably do that for a while and be like, nah, I like sleeping more, and then go back to it. Or
yes, that's the trajectory.
Or I would just be like, no, I need to rock out. These people, even as much as I like sleeping, gonna sleep slightly less. And that's why the system's broken. Because I should be moved up because I'm sleeping slightly less. That'll probably happen.
No, but
it wouldn't actually.
I'd enjoy most of it, though.
Your dad used to go there, work from 6 till 2 p.m., go home and do his art for like 8 hours. And he was like, it was a nightmare, an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
I had a job where no one gave a fuck if I did the job or not. And then I just played around with art. It was a hell.
I think that's pretty much Dole. That's what Dole's like, right?
I
Just
think
living off of the government.
It is like that, but that's not really. He at that point he had like dreams of being like a really successful architect, and that environment was not good for that.
You know what's amazing? He is the main character of Ayn Rand's Fountainhead.
What the hell's that?
It's like the literature of libertarian in the US. It's this fictitious novel writer from Russia.
I should read it.
Wait, wasn't it? What, I think it was the other book that you're referring to. Ayn Rand's
No,
book.
Atlas Shrugged.
Atlas
I don't know
Shrugged.
what that's about, but Fountainhead is about an architect that lives in a Soviet
okay.
country.
Dude, that's
Is it really?
Yes.
That's basically the same book as Atlas Shrugged, because Atlas Shrugged was that.
It's my
That,
dad's life.
Every executive just boycotts and says, all right, you want to do it without us? You do it, and then the entire system
But see,
collapses.
this is so pathetic because, yes, he's an artist, and I guess, empathize with the fact that he didn't get to make nice buildings. But come on. How much better is it that there is a government sitting there instead of people being like, I just want to put a yellow stripe down this building because it's kooky and I like Andy Warhol. Ooh. Yeah, that'll be $6 million, you know?
You can still
Like,
do
instead
that.
of doing that shit,
yeah.
how much better is it that the government's like, no, these people need a sewer. You're building a fucking sewer. And they're like, all right.
I'll give you this. There's positives and negatives. If you're Tony Robbins, it's fucking negative. If you're 95 or 90%,
And he was Croatian. Holy shit.
but if
Imagine
you're
Tony Robbins
yes,
there.
that would be
Just
hot.
some cabbie.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, he'd be a cabbie. He'd be poor. Maybe not poor, but he wouldn't be
But
doing well.
What do you think of this argument
But
that
wait,
you
just-
should work for the 95% rather than the 5%?
Well, I was just gonna say the 90%. would be taken care of. And that's why everyone says that communism is the moral, Marxism is the moral imperative. It's the moral thing to do. I'm not disagreeing with that necessarily on a basic level. Like, yeah, I think if America is the alternative, it's brutal. No healthcare, like dilapidated buildings, like the 1%, like horrible, like brutal living conditions. If there's two sides to that story, and like I think the middle ground is the best. I think like some form of
every man. And I bet you everyone listening to this is like,
some kind of
Yeah, but
centrist.
everyone always says that. But I'm saying that the middle ground is China. China did create the middle ground.
I'm
They were
kind of
just like,
moving more and more towards that.
authoritarianism mixed with you can gamble, that kind of
In
shit.
a weird way, I'm kind of moving more and more towards that thought because I see how slow and bureaucratic and our society is, and also how like the media just run everything and just dictate the culture, and it's just manufacturing consent, and it's just like these sort of like.
Is this a controversial statement?
So I'm understand. Yeah, I'm moving towards that more and more because at least things get fucking done.
But is this a controversial statement? The monopoly of governance should remain with the government. That is not the case in Australia.
Yeah, dude, I
Yeah.
honestly think that that's the best outcome.
I think it's better than oil companies and
Oil
coal running the
companies,
show.
media companies,
Yeah, I agree with
mining
that.
companies.
I agree with that. I think that like.
But you know what, though?
I hope it doesn't get too far though, because I don't want. I worry that then that'll turn into like Mao. But there's no
gotta
Mao
say-
in China right now.
Dude, by the way, I've been reading Mao's book. It's fucking funny. Because like you think it's like Mao Selected Works, Volume 1, and I'm not even kidding. Like most of that book is Chiang Kai-shek sucks balls and how much I am better than that asshole.
Fuck. So it's basically Kevin Rudd's the PM.
yes, it is.
Hey, what's the difference?
Do you want to add? Do you want to add the last bit because we're out of time? Do
What?
you want to add anything else? We're out of time.
Well, I don't know. I was just about to say that maybe it's the 3 days of Tony Robbins' brainwashing. But he does really inspire you to realize what the human spirit is is capable of doing. If there is any argument as to why the US is a good system, it's a Tony Robbins 5-day seminar of business management.
That's right, though.
Because
but that's my point. It's like
the man is so impressive, and you kind of do realize that if human beings are allowed to do whatever the fuck they like, you will get a few Tony Robbinses, and I don't know. That I do think that actually, the more and more I look at society, the more I realize, like, I think Jordan Peterson actually does have the ultimate point, which is just like, if everyone wasn't such a shit cunt, society would be pretty fucking good.
I think it's a.
Don't you think that that's
And on
true?
that note, do not be a shit cunt. Become a patron.
Yeah. So you can hear Miss Love's literal haphazard fucking
Can I
mad
have a
cat thoughts.
And once again, if you want to start,
as if you didn't get enough for free.
if you want to start a fundraiser for my car, like I said, I am not opposed to that idea.
Make sure you give generously to that, as generously as you give to ARC, but then chuck a couple more bucks at Ali's Tesla, because they do cost more than hay.
Can I
Or just become a patron.
Can I have the final thought, even though Jordan should have it? Because I just have a good way of putting it.
Do it. Clearly, firing you deserve it.
Dude, personal responsibility is imperative, as is government responsibility. Just a mix.
I swear why is that such a controversial statement?
But
I
that's
hate
it.
that when people come onto my self-help channel and yell at me about that. It's like, dude, go back to Reddit.
Yeah.
That's the way forward in life. It's
Tony
kinda
Robbins with
you
like-
have to give a bit in the government in terms of just getting over your fucking ego, because the whole thing is I'm nowhere near as motivated as Tony Robbins. Again, 62-year-old man, esophagus melted when he was 30, getting up while doing aerobics, just being like,
Okay, now, this is what you need to know about tax minimization.
like it's just like that is what the human spirit is capable
Dude,
of.
how
That's
about,
what I'm saying.
don't you think the maddest cabinet, like this, do you think this would be the perfect cabinet in the world? Or let's just say an example of America. Bernie Sanders, president, vice president Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I do think that that'd be the perfect world.
Because it's government responsibility.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe there's a danger of reckless mismanagement and misspending. Who cares? It's not going to be an ounce of what Big Oil and the Koch brothers and coal and all these lobbies have, or the banks. So just shut up about that. And then you got Robbins there just being like, and also personal responsibility as well as healthcare.
But you know what I think that he's actually fucking right in that Jordan Peterson's big gripe with politics, because he's a psychologist and he's always, I was just listening to him talking about it.
Yeah.
He's fucking right that identity politics do fucking destroy the fabric of a society. It creates a complete us and them mentality. Tribalizes people, breaks them up.
Yeah, that does happen.
And it just plays into people's egos, makes people petty.
Yeah.
It makes society much worse. And the thing is, Bernie Sanders isn't above playing into identity politics, so he does need that vice president.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, have you cleaned your office?
Yeah. The White House is looking messy. I think I've nailed it. In fact, Finn and like, I'm the smartest person in the world.
And when Trump
insane.
dies, after he dies,
The new king will be Tony Robbins, who, thanks to his health system formula, will probably be alive until 600 years old.
Hopefully.
I think that we've covered
King
it.
of America.
All
I
right,
really think
see you
we've covered
guys. Thanks for listening in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.